I've got a riddle for you. Can a game that never had matchmaking truly be dead? Was it ever really alive? No, it absolutely was not. This goose was cooked from the start. Hey, it's me, editor Nat. I'm editing this video right now, and I felt that I should explain something. So normally when I make these videos, I use my own gameplay footage for like the background stuff or to show examples of things. But I couldn't for Godfall because my computer literally could not play it and record it at the same time with Shadowplay or Streamlabs OBS or anything. And I'll show you exactly what the stuff looked like that I tried to record. So like this right here, this is what I recorded, and this is on low settings. That's the lowest possible settings for the game, and it's just like a slideshow. Mind you, the game was running perfectly fine, and even on ultra settings, I was able to run the game totally fine. But trying to play it and record it at the same time, it just kind of came out like a big old mess. Oh, hi, the water heater's on. Okay, bye! Now, I was actually pretty eager to play Godfall because on a surface level, this game can trick you pretty easily. You watch the trailer and you see these pretty sparkly visuals and this gilded armor on all the characters, and you got guys doing like kickflips with swords and like double overhanded sister fisters, and you think, hey, this looks like it's pretty cool. And the graphics are like pretty big. You think to yourself, that is the future of gaming. And then you play it, and what's like a step above suck ass? Godfall fell flat pretty much right out of the gate. I mean, charging $70 for essentially what is like a tech demo, you gotta be out of your mind. Plus, I've heard that the PS5 version, which is the one that costs $70, has had like way more issues than the PC version with like crashing and all kinds of stuff. I played on PC and I never had the game crash, but I'm not handing out awards just because the .exe file worked, okay? And we're gonna get pretty in-depth about why this game is, well, Godfall. Alright though, before I mercilessly dunk on this game, let's talk about the good stuff. Godfall is a pretty game. It's got these really gorgeous looking environments and these really cool like gaudy weapons and armors, and some of the bosses actually have pretty neat designs. Every now and then the combat really just comes together really nicely. Two of the game's bosses in particular were actually quite fun to fight. Lunara and Macross both have different phases to the fight where you've got to block attacks, parry attacks, you can parry projectiles back at them like it's, Legend of Zelda, like you're shooting the energy balls back at Ganon. It's pretty cool, and the fights feel really engaging and like you're really like having a back and forth with the boss. It feels interesting. It feels like I'm participating in a cinematic, fun boss fight. Most of the other bosses and hunt targets, though, are really annoying to fight. But we're gonna get back to those. Good stuff. Good stuff. Yeah, let's just get right to the bad stuff. Godfall, despite not being a live service game with this like everlasting economy like, Destiny, where it's like you just keep coming back and playing more and more forever, there is a shockingly small amount of content in this $70 game MSRP. If this were just some random run-of-the-mill hack and slash RPG, I wouldn't really care. But it's a PS5 launch title. It's published by Gearbox, who sometimes publishes things that are good, I guess. Yet it is so haphazardly put together that with that price tag, it's kind of insulting to anybody that happened to buy this. I was hearing before this game came out that it was going to be 25 hours long. That was a lie. The game took me about 11 hours to get through, which is 14 less than the number that I just said. That's a lot of time. And the end game is entirely pointless because you're just grinding through the same bosses you've already fought, the same areas you've already been through, just to get better loot. Who cares? Why would you suffer through more Godfall just to watch some damage numbers go up?
what's the point? Now I say suffer because the combat that I spoke of earlier has two serious problems. Inputs and annoying enemies. Inputs have a couple problems themselves, and one of those problems is that sometimes they just don't work. Particularly if I level up in the middle of a fight, right? If I'm holding down, the W key to move forward and I'm sprinting and I'm clicking the mouse to attack and I level up because I happen to kill an enemy. All of those keys that I'm holding down, they just stop working. Like if I just hold down the W key, I won't move. I have to take my hand off and press the key again to keep going. It doesn't remember that I'm holding down the W key. According to the developers, they based the combat partially off of Monster Hunter World, among other games, in some PlayStation Magazine interview. I'm not sure what Monster Hunter World they were playing, but surely it was not the one that I myself played for 200 hours. Because Monster Hunter World is good, and this is not that. Now, I know in Monster Hunter World, if I get hit with a really hard attack from a monster, 95% of the time, it is my fault. I have the appropriate tools at my disposal, and the game is built around those tools to where everything, for the most part, I think, is pretty fair. Monsters telegraph their attacks really well. You've got just the right amount of iframes when you're rolling. You've got just enough time to get out of the way of most attacks in the game, or dive out of the way, or hide behind something, or whatever. The game is difficult, but fair. In Godfall, enemies have these attacks where they turn red and they attack. And when they do that, you can't block those attacks. Blocking is what you do to most of the attacks in this game. This game is more block intensive than it is roll intensive. And you get 3 wind-up frames before the enemy hits you. I'm not normally one to cry about, a game being too hard or anything like that. I enjoy games that are challenging. I'm gonna whip out the Dark Souls card here, okay? I like Dark Souls 1, 2, and 3. I like Bloodborne. I like Sekiro. I like those games, and I think they are built pretty fairly around this premise. This game is just not. These enemies are not fair. They're not fun to fight. They're annoying, and it's not like these red attacks do massive amounts of damage most of the time, It takes a good chunk away, but you're not going to get one shot from any of these. Most of the weapons that you have are pretty slow, and the enemies don't match up with your speed. They're a lot faster than you. It's almost like they're on fast forward and you're in slow motion. I don't feel stylish at any point when I'm playing the game, especially ranged enemies who just backstep when you get closer to them. So every time you go to attack them, they just backstep out of the way, and then the melee-focused enemy that you aren't paying attention to just waltzes into frame and smashes your head into the ground. The enemies are annoying, they're not fun to fight, and I know I'm not the only person that has this problem. I've watched a lot of videos on this before I made this, and this is a common complaint among the community. And some enemies have these stupid little shove moves that they can do that stagger you for multiple seconds. You're supposed to be this all-powerful being in this giant suit of armor, and this little rat man shoves you and you're ugh! The combat doesn't feel fun and engaging. It feels like it's holding you down and slapping you in the face. And do you want to fight bad guys with other human beings? Well, I hope you have 2 really good friends who were also stupid enough to buy this game on your platform of choice, because there is no matchmaking and there's no crossplay on a PS5 launch title that costs $70, published by Gearbox. I just want to point out, we've had matchmaking since Halo 2. I think we could have worked on this, guys. Something else that this game does that really does not help the combat is how the Valor plates work. Don't get me wrong, the Valor plates look cool and all, but I really wish there was 4 separate classes of Valor plates that had unique skills and ultimate abilities. Instead, it's just 12 flavors of passive buffs to either elemental stats or crit chance or something. The Archon Fury thing is super boring. Either you let out some flavored fart depending on what your element is, or you summon 3 guys that fight for 10 seconds and then they go away, and you're borderline invincible when you're using it, so it's a good time to get some cheap hits in on a boss, but aside from that, they're pretty boring. Destiny, Borderlands, Outriders, Anthem. Anthem did this better. Now we move on to what we really fight for in these games. The loot. The loot that you will use for 20 minutes and then replace, despite it maybe looking pretty cool, because you burn through loot so fast in this that you can't get attached to any of it, and frankly, none of it is very cool outside of its appearance. You can literally just enchant regular gear until it's legendary. You can take a white item and make it legendary just by enchanting it over and over and over. So legendary loot is not special in this game at all. Now the story, we have to talk about the story, right? Hey, just because the writers put no effort in doesn't mean I'm not going to. You, good guy. Him, bad guy. Him, exposition. Her, mommy. This guy is your brother and he's making his lieutenants gather energy for him so he can become a god. That's bad, I guess. So you gotta kill these guys, and then you kill this guy. Spoilers, you kill him. But in order to do that, you need to collect Chuck E. Cheese tokens. You'll keep getting smacked with all these dumbass roadblocks in the campaign where you have to go and repeat these hunt missions to get sigils to unlock the next boss. But the problem is, the further in the game you get, the more you have to backtrack at these points because they make you get the sigils from previous areas that you're way over leveled for. So you end up going back to these quests, doing them in 2 minutes, 2 or 3 times, depending on how many sigils you need, and then going back and opening the boss door and fighting the boss. But all of this only takes me like 20 minutes, and I'm just repeating the same quest over and over again, so it's not fun or engaging. So why is it in the game? Why? It barely even pads out the game. Like, you think, oh, they're using it to pad out the runtime, but it only adds 20 minutes each time you have to do it. So if you have to do it a few times, it's only adding like an hour onto the game. Were they that desperate for gameplay time that they were willing to add these dumb little things over and over for you to do repeatedly just to make the game longer? If you take out these pointless repeat quests, this game is less than 10 hours long. It's got Earth Realm, Water Realm, and Air Realm, and no Fire Realm, even though there's a major fire boss. Oh, just kidding, the Fire Realm is probably going to be part of the paid DLC that this game is getting, because you can spend like over $100 on the whatever edition of this game to get the season pass. This game does not even feel finished. Valheim is an indie game that's in early access and is not done yet, and somehow, some way, that feels more finished than this. Hello, McFly, hello. Don't buy this game. Do not buy a PS5 to play this game. Don't even think about this game unless you're thinking of me, and by proxy you think of this video, which is about that game. That's okay. You can think about me all you want. Hey, let's check and see how this game is doing on Twitch, shall we? Man, I wouldn't even stream this over at twitch.tv/resetget, where I stream Saturdays and Sundays from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. Go follow. I won't be streaming this.